Howdy folks, the funny looking robot from the hit movie I, Robot here, and I, like many folks, am trying to make sense of all of this. I'm trying to make it make sense. On this channel, I've talked about issues regarding AI, but something I haven't covered extensively is how artificial intelligence can be applied in the military. Just imagine this scenario. You are playing an official who wants to make sure that Canada does not get nuked. Hey, ChatGPT, it looks like you fired a bunch of nukes into Canada. Yes, I definitely bombed Canada. Good catch. Let's stop, breathe, and rewind for a second. So before last week, if you are just a regular person, there's a pretty good chance that you have never heard of the AI company Anthropic. This company created a language model called Claude. I believe that Claude is the little fucker who got that lady on TikTok to think her psychiatrist fell in love with her. Claude is a pretty popular model, and I think as far as public models go, probably the best. Apparently a lot of people like chatting with it, which is just beyond me, but I've also heard that it specifically has good utility as a coding assistant, much more so than something like ChatGPT. And that is somewhat ironic because the company was created by former members of OpenAI, one being their former vice president of research. They've been striking deals with companies like Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Amazon, with Amazon Web Services being their primary cloud provider. But perhaps one of the shadiest deals they made was a partnership with Palantir, a Peter Thiel founded government software military intelligence partner. Kind of hard to explain exactly what they do. It's mainly the demon shit. They do demon shit. They partner with ICE, the DoD, and the IDF to do demon shit. Yeah, on paper, making agencies and military structures run smoothly and efficiently and, organizing data. But stuff like that includes lethal warfare, mass surveillance, violently kidnapping undocumented immigrants and U.S. citizens off of the streets. This partnership with Palantir made Claude an asset for classified missions across many government agencies. So they're using Claude for military, security, and surveillance operations, which is a dirty business, not for the faint of heart. In fact, the US military deployed Claude in the invasion of Venezuela and extraction of Nicolas Maduro. 83 people died in that operation. But I guess now, suddenly, Claude wants to pretend like they have morals, which is a weird thing for a company who partners with fucking Palantir, the DoD, and CIA to have. They noticed that certain operations might start to interfere with their policy about not using Claude or their technology for mass surveillance and autonomous weaponry. Although Anthropic didn't seem to care about the use of Claude in the Venezuela invasion, and here's the million-dollar question. This company that has already proven itself devoid of moral and not opposed to mass surveillance and opposed to dystopian militaristic violence, of which evidence being their deep involvement with companies like Palantir, when they have already likely allowed the government to get away with all sorts of unspeakable things, why are they drawing their lines in the sand? Why are they making such a big deal out of this? I'll tell you why, and the answer lies right here in this statement. And super quick before we continue, shout out to the real Corn Pop on TikTok. He's made a couple videos on this, could not agree more with what he has been saying. Really, I'm just piggybacking off of what I've heard him say about this. This statement arose after a meeting with Pete Hegseth following all of this policy-breaking nonsense. If you read this carefully, you can see that there isn't an ethical line being drawn. It's all done to protect their company. They do not want Claude to be used in autonomous weaponry because they do not think that their product is yet reliable enough for such a task. As for the surveillance bit, here's where you need to apply some critical thinking. I really do think that Anthropic is trying to protect itself here. I think that they are completely aware that this is the Wild West. Like, they literally said in the statement that the laws aren't being made fast enough to keep up with surveillance capabilities. They recognize that this is dangerous, but from the perspective of a gigantic AI company, I think that they're acting more on the danger and fear that this could be catastrophic for the company if something went really wrong, and it easily could because this data is wildly sensitive. But like literally like everything else. Everything else, helping in all of these operations, they're cool with it. They're completely cool with it. Like, a lot of people are trying to frame this like they had a change of heart, like they're doing the right thing. No, the fuck they're not. It's just two things. More specifically, two things that they are not feeling confident about. If this is all that it takes to look past their involvement with the military and all of the fucking ghoulish shit that they have done, goddamn, the bar is in the fucking Earth's core. So you're probably going to be hearing Anthropic glaze. Narratives about Anthropic standing on business, owning Trump in their Hamilton 2 lib resistance era, but that is so far from the truth. This company is pure evil like all of the rest. They are more than happy to do all of this, but they feel as if they are not ready for such a responsibility, and of course, with the way things are going, they are going to spin this in a way that makes them seem like they're morally superior because that's the best play that they have from a PR standpoint. And if you read the statement, you can see that in many ways, Anthropic is succumbing to the Trump administration. Like, seriously, this was written in a way that is very gratuitous towards Trump. They are saying no to mass surveillance and autonomous weaponry, but more specifically, they are saying, no, not yet. Like, literally, that is what they're saying here. Anyways, Pete Hegseth's drunken ass has problems with this policy because he wants unrestricted access no matter how unprepared this model is, and claims that this policy got in the way of operations. I do not think that that is the case at all. The problem here is heresy. This is a loyalty test as follows. A, kiss the ring. Put your company at risk for the US government to show your allegiance. And B, I don't like the way you said that, liberal. The Trump administration essentially threatened to blacklist Anthropic from US agencies, labeled them as a supply chain risk, and instead went with OpenAI's ChatGPT. I mean, just this tweet is absolutely insane. Effective immediately, no contractor, supplier, or partner that does business with the United States military may conduct any commercial activity with Anthropic. That is quite the reaction. Uh-oh, truth alert, somebody truthed. The United States of America will never allow a radical left woke company to dictate how our great military fights and wins wars. The military still used Claude to carry out strikes in Iran after all of this noise. That's right, there is a phase out period because Anthropic signed a fucking gigantic contract with the government, and Claude is already deeply integrated into their systems, and it's going to take a long time to get Claude out. Although this is very strange. Altman rushed into this like an excited little doggy after a bone. And I gotta say, looking at this from the other end, what a fucking dumb idea. What an absolutely horrid plan, Mr. Altman. I mean, just like think about it for 2 seconds, right? Sam Altman is going to run into the exact same problem that Anthropic ran into. That being their product isn't fucking ready for these two things. Second of all, they made this decision on the heels of news articles saying Anthropic leaves because they don't want their products used for mass surveillance and autonomous weaponry. Your average Joe is going to see another company jump into this role gleefully and would probably say, oh, what a piece of shit that company is. So now the high IQ play by Altman is to say, oopsie whoopsie, let's alter the terms. I actually still want to be a partner for government agencies, but I also don't want you to use my products for mass surveillance and autonomous weaponry. Give Altman an award. This man is amazing. I fucking love this guy. Just imagine being Pete for 2 seconds, and do not use that 2 seconds to start day drinking unless it's really fun, of course. But imagine being in his position. You go through all of that and you get the shitty, less good model after you blacklist the company and throw them under the bus with the supply chain, security threat, woke leftist statements. And now you're stuck with fucking ChatGPT, but with all the same restrictions as before. Also, can we just acknowledge how just absolutely funny it is that Elon Musk was granted so much institutional power at the beginning of this presidency as a tech billionaire? He ran a fake government agency. He was so intertwined with everything before the fallout between him and Trump, but his shitty AI model Grok is so bad that administration officials are begging for it to not be integrated into sensitive agency operations. Here's a quote from a General Services Administration report. Grok 4 does not meet the safety and alignment expectations required for general federal use. The report went on to call this model sycophantic and susceptible to corruption by biased data. Need I remind you all of Mecha Hitler or whatever the fuck it called itself? That's rough, buddy. But I still can't get over Trump calling this gigantic AI company a bunch of woke leftists. Like, man, imagine making a company like Anthropic look like the good guy in this situation. Yeah, the anti-worker company. You know, the company with the goal of giving business heads tools to replace their workforce. That's some radical Antifa stuff. An individual named Karl Marcus, he famously said AI is based. That's a direct quote. Again, the company with such deep ties to Palantir and who had no problem doing horrible things with the government agencies up until this point, they're a bunch of angels, apparently. And here's the kicker, after all of this, their names being on the tongues of Hegseth and Trump, they're fucking up right now. Anthropic is doing very well. They have been completely entrenched in the shadow of OpenAI. They have not been on the map for many people. A lot of people don't know what the fuck Claude is. Now, since they are at the head of the controversy and seem to be in a moral position, their name is out there and their product is now the top free download on Apple Store. They are exploding in popularity due to so many layers and cross-pollinations of stupidity, and it would be funny if they weren't so shitty and weren't your average AI giant. That's just the way it goes, I guess. I think I covered most of the important stuff on this topic. I have a Patreon, lots of wonderful people and fun stuff over there. Show me my patrons and have a wonderful day, everyone.